It's World Geekly News.
It's a town-eat-town world in Universal Pictures' upcoming post-apocalyptic teen thriller, The Mortal Engines. After the massive success of Harry Potter, The Hunger Games, and Twilight, studios are hoping to find the next big young adult franchise to bring to the silver screen. Universal Pictures believes it has found its new hit in the adaptation of Philip Reeves' post-apocalyptic adventure story, The Mortal Engines. With a budget of $100 million, a good release date, and famed Lord of the Rings director Peter Jackson at the helm, Universal seems pretty confident that they have a hit on their hands. The first trailer for the movie dropped a while back to solid reviews, which got us wondering, what's the big deal with these books anyway? So let's take a closer look at the source material. Published back in 2001, The Mortal Engines is the first in a quartet of novels by British author and illustrator Philip Reeve. While Reeve has written several book series, he is still best known for the Mortal Engines quartet. The novels take place in a post-apocalyptic future where a third world war, called the 60-Minute War, has eradicated most life on the planet Earth. Now, most humans survive on giant mobile cities called traction cities. Cities and towns scuttle about on Earth's surface getting supplies by airships or destroying smaller cities and utilizing them for scraps and slave labor. Think Mad Max meets Agario. Our first protagonist is young Tom Natsworthy, a teenage apprentice historian in the roaming city of London. London has returned to a more Victorian age in both apparel and societal expectations. The 1800s British class system is now replaced with 4 major guilds, each responsible for keeping London alive and working. Natsworthy has lived his entire life on his little section of London. His sheltered existence becomes the lens through which the readers will come to know the world of the Mortal Engines. He's the reader's surrogate, there to ask the questions that we would. He has lived his whole life believing that the practice of destroying other towns, a philosophy known as municipal Darwinism, is a noble and just form of existence. Conversely, living in a static city on the Earth's surface seems profane and barbaric to him. All of this is, of course, challenged when Natsworthy encounters a young girl, Hester Shaw. Shaw, who's been horribly disfigured, is brought aboard London after it is chased down and captured a smaller city of Salthook. Their fates become intertwined when Natsworthy stops Shaw's assassination attempt on famed adventurer and head of the Guild of Historians, Thaddeus Valentine. While preposterous, the setup of the story is a novel one. The roaming steampunk-styled cities are interesting, and the world is well realized. It's hard not to fall in love with the various trappings of this oddly quaint and disturbing future. However, it isn't enough to hide some of the glaring issues with the novel. Reeve takes a big gamble early on, thrusting Natsworthy and the readers on a grand adventure, trading character development for swashbuckling adventures at a brisk pace. Sadly, it doesn't pay off. Plot twists and character betrayals that should be stunning feel lackluster and tedious because we have no connection with the characters. The plot is just a series of action sequences strung loosely together by plot contrivances, deus ex machinas, and just kind of random stuff. Which would be fine if there was a solid point to the story. Both The Hunger Games and Harry Potter were thick with allegories and social commentary, as well as engaging insight into the human condition. The Mortal Engine takes a few passing glances at these, but never hits the mark. There are factions of people in traction cities and static ones engaged in a war to end each other's way of life, but little is done to convince the reader that either side has much of a point. We never spend enough time with the characters enjoying the fruits of living in rich London to become appalled with the dark truth that allows such decadence. We only learn of injustices and dystopian concepts once they're revealed to the characters. There's no build-up, no depth, no real statement or relationship to the reader's real lives for these things to have any impact. They're merely presented as bad things that someone should probably do something about. There are elements of fascism, slavery, classism, xenophobia, and other facets of society worth examining that Reeves uses as little more than window dressing. Even that could have been some sort of meta-commentary unto itself, but the story is content with just meaningless and often uninspired action sequences. The Mortal Engines, due to its post-apocalyptic steampunk aesthetic, will probably get lumped into science fiction. But make no mistake, this is pure fantasy. Tom Natsworthy goes on Campbell's hero's journey in an almost paint-by-numbers fashion. Reeves almost does some interesting things by retaining the hero's refusal to the call for so long, but again he fails to make Natsworthy's blind devotion to municipal Darwinism meaningful. The story essentially comes down to good and evil, but the characters are so unexplored that even that falls flat. And while I'm clearly coming down hard on the book, I didn't hate it. I'd be hard-pressed to recommend it, given so many other good books out there, but it does have a charm to it. Reeves' prose is well done, and the concepts he utilizes, while ridiculous, were fun and engaging. At best, I'd probably give the book a 3 out of 5, but even then I'm being a little generous. Now that doesn't mean that Universal Pictures is wrong in their hopes that this will become the next big hit. There's a lot of material there for Jackson to mine and come up with a good story. If he can avoid some of the trappings of the novel and really give us an emotional core to the characters, we might very well have a very cool thing coming our way this December. At the same time, outside of Lord of the Rings, Jackson's work is pretty hit and miss. This very well might just be the next Hobbit movies. Time will tell. Have you read the Mortal Engines books? Are you excited about the movie? What'd you think of the trailer? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Don't forget to check out our website, worldgeeklynews.com. For WGN, I'm KJ McDougall.